why don't more women run? Because the worst possible thing is to say the fault is in us. But that is not an acceptable explanation. If women were just more something, if we were just different somehow, well, then we could fix this. And so I started to think about this and work on it. Turns out there are 7 or 8 reasons why women say they don't run for public office. Primary caregivers for families. And one of the great conundrums of our time is that as we live longer with an opportunity to serve in public life as part of a third act, we become, in fact, not only child raisers, but caregivers for parents and for in-laws. And so this reason never really goes away. We say we are the primary caregivers. We say it is too negative, it is too horrible, I could not be involved in that, they are vile. And we all feel that way from time to time, but then again, maybe if we were there, it wouldn't be so much so. We say it's an invasion of privacy. I would put myself forward because I would like to do this, but I can't put my children, my teenage children I don't want what they do on the front page of the paper, my husband's business books to be open. There are a million reasons why we don't do this. We say, oh, I would like to do this because I care deeply about foster children and homelessness and a million other social ills, but I will serve on a board. I will start a foundation. I will do something else to solve this problem more directly because the people in our case, Sacramento, they're not getting the job done. There are a lot of reasons, but there are 2 that come up most often. I think, and one, women don't run for office because we say nobody asked us to. When you ask a room full of women who should run for state senator, they say, I have a great friend. I have a friend who would be really good at that, but I couldn't do that because I have all these other reasons that I've just given you that I couldn't do it, but she'd be great and we could get her and that would be great. Men, you ask a bunch of men, we have a problem, we need a state senator, 70 hands go up, I could fix that, no problem, I'll take care of that. Men just self-nominate. They're ready to go from the get-go. They don't have a lot of excuses. And some of my colleagues in the world of academia, they call this an ambition gap. I don't ascribe to the notion that we are less ambitious. I do think we are more for the bigger enterprise. And so it is harder for us to say, I'll be the one to lead. But I thought about that and I thought, well, why can't we design something where women who have already been in public life go out and ask women who have already accomplished a lot, so they don't have some of these reservations about being on point, and ask them to run. So when I designed the 2012 project, already thinking, okay, we have these clusters of opportunity in Texas and Florida, new districts. We've got new districts in Arizona. We've got new districts in Washington. What can't we organize these states? And then we'll get women who have been in public office to go out and ask women who are accomplished in other fields, science and technology, energy and environment, health, finance, women who own small businesses, women who work in international relations, all fields essential to the economic health of the country, all fields where women who are accomplished, looking at their third act of life, are people who have not only accomplished a great deal, but they're willing to venture something. They just need a roadmap. They need to know, how do I get from here to a place where I can do public service in this last adventure of my life? And so, with many colleagues, after many white papers and many discussions, we went out and recruited Governor Madeline Kunin, former Governor Madeline Kunin, former Speaker of the Ohio Legislature, Joanne Davidson, the first African-American woman elected to Congress west of the Mississippi River, Yvonne Burke. We recruited several others to spearhead this effort, to co-chair a national faculty of former elected women. We then built a database of 1,800 industry organizations that had, as part of their mission, the advancement of women. We called them up and we said, we'd like to send this former governor, that former member of Congress, Connie Morell, a fantastic former member from suburban Maryland, also a co-chair. We'd like to send them to talk at your annual meeting, your regional conference, and ask women in your industry to run for office. And uniformly they said, we don't do that. We don't do politics. We don't want politics coming to us. And it was actually the Society of Women Engineers who first said, you know, we've never done that, but it sounds kind of interesting. So we began to send emissaries from the political world to women in the private sector. And over time, we built bridges. And we built more bridges in states where there was greater opportunity. And all told, we've pulled together about 530 women stepped forward from these industries and said, I am interested in knowing more about how I could serve in public office. And when they did that, we connected them to every fundraising network, leadership institute, think tank, and training program in their area, to their party leadership, whichever party it was, and said, here's your launch, go to it. 133 of them are running this year. Another 70 of them are interested in 14 and 16 elections. Now, I will just say to you, this is a drop in the bucket. I am so happy to report to you that some people said yes, but this is a marathon, not a sprint. I've talked about the fact that if there aren't women in government leading, there won't be women at General Motors leading. This will directly influence how they move here. And so it is not a bad thing that my counterparts in the private sector are highly focused on an effort to increase the number of women on the boards of publicly traded companies. But their effort won't get traction unless there is a model to which they can point to say it works better. A good example that I want to share with all of you is simply that on their side, on the private sector side of the ledger, a number of studies have been done in Europe which have shown that gender-balanced investment committees are more profitable. And there are a whole host of reasons, but there is a lot of anecdotal data in politics about gender-balanced committees, hearings, organizations, subcommittees of legislatures, that they operate differently or better or are drawn to different issues. But there is, again, real measurement on the risk-taking and the investment patterns of gender-balanced investment committees. And it's a better bottom line. So I like to just tell people we do have some metrics on that score. Finally, two things. We need to be unembarrassed about articulating the benefit of being at the table. My colleague, Debbie Walsh, who runs the Center for American Women in Politics, likes to say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I think that is true, but I think we need to be very clear about these two things. We are different. That difference has value. It is not better, but any institution that has both is richer and bigger in vision and capacity. And if we don't see that as a huge untapped resource for responding to the problems of the country, then shame on us. Shame on us. So these strategies are a way to express our confidence in what is a closer to ideal democracy, because we would be there. And when we're there, do we make a difference? Who cares? What does it matter? What's all the hullabaloo about? You bet. It makes a difference in so many ways. What's on the agenda? Do you think an agenda that took on seriously the issue of wage inequality, or paid maternity leave, or universal preschool, or quality child care would not revolutionize the way women live in our country? If we could accomplish those things, I think they would. And here's the thing, it's not about us. It's about a better quality of life across the board. Once again, we are different. We should be unafraid to say these things matter to us, but they are important to the country. They are important to the rate of heart disease and stress felt by the men who bear the burden of a country that doesn't have these things. So we have often wanted to be there by being able to lend a different point of view on the budget, which we do, or on national security, which we do. But then we don't really want to bring these other things up as a reason to be there. And I think we miss a huge opportunity when we don't do that. So this is the path, in my view, to getting to parity. It is not something we can do quickly, even when you have a great opportunity and a perfect storm, as you did in '92. We only elected 22 new women. I think we'll be in double digits this year, but it will be hard to replicate that 22. But we can't wait 20 years for another year of great opportunity. There are opportunities in each one of these election cycles if we put the resources behind finding them and the strategies together to make the most of them, and then we make the case that unless everybody thinks things are better than the way we've been discussing them, we can't leave half the talent out of the decision making.